Have you ever looked at someone you've known for years and realized that they aren't the same person anymore? Not just older, not just different in their style, but fundamentally changed in their soul. In the world of mixed martial arts, there is no greater example of this than Conor McGregor. Depending on who you ask, you'll get two completely different versions of who this man is today. To the casual observer, the millions who tune in once a year for the big spectacle, he is still the same wild, screaming icon of his prime. But to those who have been paying attention, the hardcores who live and breathe every news cycle, the man couldn't be any more different. We are witnessing a great divide, a chasm between the legend of the past and the reality of the present. To understand this divide, we have to look back at the kid from 2015. Back then, McGregor spoke about partying as a weakness for the soul. He avoided it, he focused on the craft, and he was a monk of the martial arts. Fast forward to 2026, and the image is unrecognizable. We see a man who seems bombarded by his own celebrity, a man whose base has shifted from the gym to the yacht, and whose space is no longer his own. A recent poll of hardcore fans revealed a shocking truth: only 22% still show support. The rest, a staggering 77%, are either indifferent or outright fans no longer. 10 years ago, during the legendary pre-double champ era, you couldn't find an indifferent person if you tried. You either loved him or you hated him, but you always cared. Today, the greatest threat to McGregor's legacy isn't hate, it's the fact that so many people just don't give a damn anymore. But why? How did the biggest star in the history of the sport lose the very people who built his throne? For the casual fans, the answer is simple: they don't know the history. They see the fancy suits, the trash talk, and the 2.8 million views on a single interview, and they think the Mac is back. They don't see the sanewashing of the chaotic, sometimes criminal behavior that has defined his last 5 years. They didn't even know the UFC just held an event on the White House lawn. To them, McGregor is a celebrity first and a fighter second. But for the hardcores, every breath this man has let out for the last 12 years has been reported on, rumored about, and memed to death. They have reached a point of saturation, a state of Conor fatigue, that has turned their passion into indifference. This indifference is born from a series of broken promises. For years, McGregor has claimed he would fight everyone, from random DJs to half the UFC roster. He has become the boy who cried wolf. The crown jewel of this frustration was the 2024 fight against Michael Chandler. It was supposed to be a record-breaking event, the first to cross the $20 million mark in ticket sales. But on 3 weeks' notice, McGregor pulled out. He claimed a broken pinky toe, a legit injury perhaps, but one that felt hollow when compared to a man like Alex Pereira, who headlined the same event with 2 broken toes and didn't say a word. For a man who spent his career mocking others as pull-out merchants, the irony was too much for the hardcore fans to swallow. They followed his lead. If he didn't respect a broken rib or a broken foot in his opponents, why should they respect a broken toe in him? But the divide goes deeper than just missed fights. There is a darker side to the story, a trail of legal issues and criminal arrests that have become more serious and more dramatic as time has gone on. It started with speeding tickets, but it escalated to the Khabib bus attack, a moment that was billed as wild, but was, in reality, a criminal act that crossed a line. McGregor went after a man's faith and his family, and while it sold a record number of pay-per-views, it lost him the moral high ground. Many believe that the Khabib fight camp was the true turning point. McGregor has since admitted to drinking during that camp, a far cry from the "partying is a weakness" mindset of his youth. The downward spiral continued with the smashing of a fan's phone and the infamous incident where he punched an old man in a pub, simply because the man didn't want to drink his whiskey. For the Irish fans, this was the final straw. They saw a man who no longer represented them, a man who had become a numpty rather than a hero. And then came the most serious accusations, the sexual assault cases. While some details remain hidden behind closed investigations, the Nikita Khan case brought forth evidence that was impossible to ignore. A jury found him civilly liable, and the medical reports were some of the worst the examiners had ever seen. While casual fans might still believe in his innocence or simply not know the details, the hardcores have read the transcripts. They have seen the security footage. And for many, there is no path back from that. In 2026, McGregor has turned to religion, offering vague answers about God knowing his heart and keeping his balance. It's a message that might resonate with those looking for a redemption story, but for those who have watched his life unfold, it feels preachy. There is a sense that you have to live the life of a changed man for a substantial amount of time before you can start delivering messages of morality to the world. You can't just find religion when the walls are closing in and expect everyone to forget the path of destruction you left behind. The divide between the casuals and the hardcores is now a permanent feature of the McGregor era. The casuals want the train wreck, the spectacle, and the celebrity. They want to see the man who can still pull 6 times the viewership of a world champion like Pereira. But the hardcores are waiting for the cage door to lock. They are waiting to see if there is still a fighter left under all the suits and the scandals. They remember the man who was reckless when he was down, the man who had no emotion but the drive to win. They are looking for a sign of self-awareness, a sign that he understands the rope he is walking is getting thinner every day. As we approach the Holloway fight, the question remains, which Conor will show up? Will it be the man who laughed in the face of his opponents, or the man who is trying to find his balance in a life that has become increasingly unbalanced? The fall from the height he reached is a long one, and the landing is rarely soft.
I own it.
For the hardcore fans, the belief will only return when the bell rings and the action begins. Until then, they remain in a state of watchful indifference, caught in the great divide between the hero they once loved and the man he has become. This is the story of the two faces of Conor McGregor. It's a story of fame, consequence, and the ultimate cost of being the biggest star in the world. The world is watching, but for the first time in a decade, the reasons why are as divided as the fans themselves. The Mac is back, but the truth is, he never really left the shadow of his own making, continuing the narrative for full 12-minute depth. To understand the weight of this indifference, we have to look at the sheer volume of McGregor news over the last decade. In the early days, every tweet was a headline because it felt like a glimpse into the mind of a genius. But when you spend 5 years tweeting about fighting everyone from influencers to heavyweights without ever actually stepping into the cage, the words start to lose their value. The hardcore fan is a student of the game. They value activity and performance above all else. McGregor's "boy who cried wolf" syndrome has reached a terminal phase. He has talked himself into a corner where the only way out is a performance so dominant that it wipes away years of empty rhetoric. The sanewashing of his past actions is also a fascinating psychological phenomenon. When someone is as famous as McGregor, there is a collective desire to keep the icon intact. We want to believe that the bus attack was just good promotion, that the pub incident was just a misunderstanding, and that the legal cases are just money grabs. This is how a celebrity survives things that would end anyone else's career. The casual fan participates in this sanewashing because they want the entertainment to continue. They don't want to think about the tampon removal surgery or the witness intimidation accusations. They just want to see the notorious walk out one more time, but the hardcore fan can't look away. They are the ones who read the medical examiner's reports. They are the ones who follow the Irish news outlets that report on the local disdain for a man who was once their greatest pride. The divide isn't just about how much you know, it's about what you are willing to tolerate in exchange for entertainment. For many hardcores, the cost of supporting McGregor has become too high. They have reached a point where the train wreck is no longer fun to watch, it's just sad. Let's talk about the religion angle. In the fight game, we've seen many men find God when their careers are on the line. For some, like George Foreman, it was a genuine transformation that lasted a lifetime. For others, it's a convenient shield against criticism. When McGregor says, "God knows my heart," he is essentially telling the world that their judgment doesn't matter. It's a powerful defensive tactic, but it only works if the lifestyle matches the language. You can't talk about morality on Sunday and be accused of beating a woman on Monday. The hardcore fans are waiting to see the lifestyle demonstrated before they buy into the redemption Mac. The viewership numbers tell the final story of the divide. 2.8 million views for an interview is a staggering number. It proves that McGregor is still the sun that the MMA universe revolves around. Even the hardcores who claim to be indifferent are likely among those 2.8 million views. We are all peering into the cage, waiting to see if the train wreck continues or if the miracle occurs. We are all part of the spectacle, whether we like it or not. As we look toward the fight with Max Holloway, the tension is palpable. This isn't just a fight for a title or a ranking, it's a fight for the very soul of Conor McGregor's legacy. If he wins, the sanewashing will reach a fever pitch, and the casuals will feel vindicated. If he loses, the divide will only grow wider, and the hardcores will feel that their indifference was justified. The rope is indeed thinner than it has ever been, and the fall is higher than anyone can imagine. In the end, we are left with a man who is a prisoner of his own fame. He is a man who has everything but seems to be searching for the one thing he lost along the way, the respect of the people who truly know the sport. The Great Divide is the definitive story of Conor McGregor in 2026. It's a story of two worlds, two audiences, and one man caught in the middle of a legend that might finally be out of his control.